Greetings, fellow action figure connoisseurs, and welcome to another episode of Digital Caveman Presents Marvel Monday. I, as always, am your host, the Digital Caveman, and today I will be presenting you with the CT Toys Medicom Mafex number 138 knockoff Wolverine in the brown costume. Let's get into it! Let's begin with a look at the packaging. And here we go on the top. It's a Wolverine's face, Wolverine X-Men. The X-Men logo, a little sliver of a window right there in the front to let some light in from the top, I guess. And it wraps around to the front where it has a nice big window showcasing a partial view of the figure and some of the accessories. Got the old box there from Marvel Comics. It's number 138, so it's set up like a comic book. 6-inch and CT for CT Toys. And then here we have nice practical photography of the figure Wolverine X-Men Wolverine brown costume version action figure CT Toys. On the bottom, small print, fine print, legalese print, made in, I'm assuming China, yeah, made in China print. A couple of symbols I'm not going to learn. Warning, don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. Ages 15 and up, adult collectible, not a toy. Then on this side, we've got Wolverine, X-Men, and then practical photography again. And then another practical photography shot. Wolverine's head again. Wolverine, brown, comic version, action figure number 138. The X-Men symbol. Then on the back, we've got Wolverine X-Men number 138, Wolverine brown costume version action figure. Lots of nice practical photography of the figure schnicked. And then there's some Chinese print. Warning! Still don't stick things in your pie hole that do not belong there. Product may differ from photo ages 15 and up. And that, my friends, is a look at the packaging. And I don't know how close this is to the original packaging. I know it's fairly close, but there are some slight differences, especially with the CT Toys down there in the corner. So there we have the packaging, my friends. Let's take a look at the figure and his accessories. And here we have handy dandy tweezers when we need them to help us look at some of these smaller accessories. And we're going to start out with the first one here in line, which is the, pulled down mask. And, sculpt wise, it looks like a pulled down mask. Paint wise, I think they did a pretty good job on it. Not a lot of slop there. The eyes look a little, I don't know, ovally, kind of like a Tylenol or something, shape wise. But there it is. It's not slopped out of that area. A little bit of slop here on the tops of the mask. Other than that, looks pretty good. Next up, we have the alternate hands. And these are the reaching hands. There's a left one and a right one. You can see this one has a little bit of paint chipping on it. And then it's got some silver there for where the blades come out, or where the claws come out. And there's a little bit of slop where it overlaps the silver there just a little bit, but for the most part it looks like a pretty good piece. And here is the opposite number. Again, nice molded details, and then nice paint for where the claws come out, and a little bit of slop on there, but not too bad. I've seen Marvel Legends have that level of sloppiness as well. So next up are the fists, and this is what comes on the figure. So nice molded details, nice paint, and then, you know, the silver. You can see some slop where the brown comes over the silver just a little bit, and again, not too bad. Here's the other one. Again, nice molded details. Looks like a fist. Wouldn't want to see it coming at you. Next up, let's take a look at the unmasked head. And I have to say, for the most part, the sculpt on this looks pretty good. The paint looks pretty good as well. Now, I will say, it looks like maybe they tried to do a wash for these blue highlights and maybe went a little heavy with it. Or just painted it rather than doing a wash on it. And, you know, I think if they'd actually done a wash on it, it would have looked a lot better. You can see on the eyebrows there, it looks like maybe they used a little bit of inkjet technology there. And they look okay. The eyes look pretty good. Although they do kind of look like they're crossing, going up like that one. And so there is that. But if you know, down like that, you know, that looks more. So not too bad there. It looks very comic booky, I think, which is maybe what they were trying to go for. Here's the other alternate portrait. And this is the grinning kind of face. You can see they used that printing inkjet stuff on this one as well, it looks like. There for the teeth and the lips, and maybe here a little bit on the chin. And you can see there's a little bit of paint slop here at the edge of the mask where it meets the face, where, like, I don't know if the paint bled over. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but it's paint slop. It's not super bad, but there it is. The sculpt on this one seems to be very crisp. And then, you know, the eyes, or eye slits, lenses, whatever you want to call it, those look pretty good too. And then finally, we're not doing a stand review, but you know, this stand does not strike me as one that Mafex would have used. I don't have the original release of this, so I don't know that for a fact. But this stand looks, you know, pretty standard. I've bought stands that are pretty much like this, and the skinny peg is for the clamp, and then the fat peg goes in the base, and then it has screws at the juncture and the armature, so you can adjust it and then tighten it up so that it holds. And again, it's pretty standard flight type stand. Well, let's take a look at the figure himself, and talking about the paint. So there looks like there's a little bit of slop right here again at the edge of the mask and the face, but not nearly as bad as the other piece. And it could be that the black just didn't come down far enough on this one, is what it looks like. But again, the sculpt is pretty crisp. The eyes look nice, the face looks nice, and it looks like they used the printing technology there again, at least on, you know, the exposed part of the face. As far as the rest of the sculpt goes, you know, it's a pretty muscular little body. I did not compare his height to other Mafex, but height-wise, he is about as tall as the Secret Wars 40th Anniversary Marvel Legends brown costume Wolverine. But that one's a little bit thicker, this one's a little bit skinnier. So, I guess whichever one you prefer, you know, that's your preference. So, for the most part, the paint apps on the body are pretty good. You can see they did a really good job here on the claws. They even painted the brown in between. So, that's good. And I like the look of the curved claw. The only thing that they could have done, at least for me, to make this better and more accurate to Brown Costume Wolverine is give him like the needle-like claws like they used to draw him with back during, you know, the 80s. But I don't mind the blades on these. These actually look pretty darn good. So I do like that. And then you've got, you know, some paint under here because that's how the costume was. Now, on the arms, they did do a good job with these little hair tampos or whatever it may be. But there's some paint out of place here. And I don't know if they tried to do a wash or if some of the paint ran or if it came off of the figure in the packaging or what's going on here. But you can see where it is, and it just makes it look discolored. And it's on both arms. So it may have been something they were doing on purpose to kind of like a wash to help the muscles stand out. But I don't know. That's a weird choice, seeing as how they didn't do it like under here. And so that may be what it is. I may be completely wrong and it's just a paint screw up. I don't know. You can see mine's got a little bit of chipping going on right here. And maybe up here. Well, let's talk about his articulation real quick. The head's on a dumbbell, and there's a ball joint at the base of the neck. The neck is a separate piece from the head and the torso. So he can look up that far, which is really, really good. He can look down that far. Hey, Puck. And he's got a little bit of chicken neck. He's got some waggle going on there. And he can do the full exorcist, although you can hear that joint is really, really tight. At the shoulders, it's got import shoulders, I guess you want to call it. So it's kind of like a butterfly in the fact that it will go back that far and it goes forward that far, but it will also go up and down. Oh, listen to that. Tight. So it also does 360 degrees of rotation there at the shoulder, and the shoulder in conjunction with this joint here, he can raise his arm up way up high. So cut here at the upper bicep, 360 degrees of rotation there. At the elbow, double jointed, pinless, and it gives you that much bend. Ball joint at the wrist, it rotates 360 degrees, and this one is set to up and down. This one is, where's this one set? This one's set to in and out, but you can adjust them to however, you know, whatever you need them to do. There's a cut here on a ball joint where the chest and the abdomen meet, and also a ball joint at the waist. So in conjunction, he can lean back that far. He can lean forward that far, so that's really good. And then he can lean side to side a bit as well, and he does hula a bit, but these joints are really, really tight. So just something to be aware of. I'm not complaining about it, but I've even heated them up, and they have kept this tightness. So there is that. Now at the waist, he can also do full 360 degrees worth of rotation. Now at the hips, there is a pull down hinge, and it will give you the splits that far. And that may be pretty basic for Mafex. I don't remember from the last one that I reviewed, but that's what you get out of it. And then you can see the pull down hinge there. Now this piece is inserted into the thigh there, so you get a little bit of rotation there. And these hips are really, really tight as well. With that being said, he can kick forward that far. He can kick back that far. He does have a double hinged pinless knee, and it gives you that much bend. Now there is a boot cut inside the boot, and It will do a full 360-degree rotation. I don't recommend doing it though, so you can see it worse right there. Because I did it and it kind of loosened the knee up a little bit. You see what the knee's doing there? So it kind of made the knee look loose. So I don't recommend really doing that. So there is a ball joint at the ankle, and it tilts down that far and up that far. And you see he's got toe tilt there as well. And then there is a forward-facing pin for rocker. And of course these ball joints are adjustable just like the ones at the wrists. So my friends, there you have it. A look at the figure and his accessories. It's time for my favorite part of a review, comparisons. And here we have the CT Toys K.O. Mafex Brown Suit Wolverine with the Marvel Legends series retro carded Wolverine and the Marvel Legends series Secret Wars 40th Anniversary Wolverine. For our last set of comparisons, here we have the CT Toys K.O. Mafex Brown Suit Wolverine with from the Marvel Legends series making his cameo appearance, Stan the Man Lee from the G.I. Joe Classified series, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Regal variant Cobra Commander from Star Wars The Black series, the Archive Edition 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and for a 7-inch scale comparison from the Masters of the Universe Masterverse line, the 40th Anniversary He-Man. For final thoughts on the CT Toys K.O. Mafex Brown Costume Wolverine, I have to say, out of the two CT Toys that I purchased this brown suit Wolverine, and I purchased the yellow and blue Wolverine. This one is much, much, much better. I don't know if the blue and yellow one is an older KO and they've improved their production since then, or if it's just a matter of, you know, rolling the dice with KOs and I happen to get a better one with this one. But I feel like this one is much better. Now, that's not to say there's not issues with it. Some of the joints are really, really tight. There looks to be like there was either some paint runoff or a really bad attempt at a wash on the bare parts of the arm. And there's just a little bit of paint slop here and there. And did I mention that some of the joints were really tight? That's a thing too. But I would have to say overall, I really like this figure. And it's if it wasn't for that bad wash or paint runoff or whatever's going on the arms, this might would have been my go-to brown costume Wolverine for things. I love the curved claws, and even though, you know, the bladed aspect of it doesn't really go with how their character was drawn during this era for the most part. Now, there were some that might have done it this way, but for the most part, you know, you had the quote-unquote needle claws. And, you know, while blades do tend to make a bit more sense when it comes to that, considering their bone underneath that adamantium, seems like they might be more round shaped. But for his claws to cut through anything, they have to be razor sharp and not rounded. So while it makes more sense for them to be bladed, just I don't know, there's something about those needle looking claws that just get me when I, especially when I see this costume. The one big design issue I guess I have with this one, and maybe it's because it's more Jim Lee era than earlier in the 80s, is, you know, the belt with the X logo on the where the buckle would be, and not the quote-unquote weightlifter type belt with the big old buckle. You know, that's kind of how I think of that belt. Is kind of like a weightlifter's belt, although it doesn't have that support looking piece in the back. So that would, sculpt wise, design wise, that would be my biggest issue with this. And the biggest issue with the paint is that whatever wash or accident or runoff or whatever it is that they did with the arms, you know, I really have to count off for that. The joints being really tight is not necessarily a bad thing. Just be aware that that is a thing, and so you may have to heat some parts up. I did not, but I think maybe the waist and the torso ball probably do need a little bit heating up, and maybe the arms as well, or maybe some of that oil stuff. I don't know. I don't have any of it, so, but I don't want to make it too loose. And again, be really careful with the boot cut, calf cut, shin cut, whatever you want to call it. But be careful with that boot cut, twisting it too far. It may make that knee joint warp a little bit. So just be aware of that as well. But for the most part, my experience with this is that this is a pretty well put together knockoff of a Mafex. And if it wasn't for that arm issue, this would probably be my go-to brown suit Wolverine, because it's that good. And the claws, even though, again, like I said, you know, I'm more with this costume needle than blade, you know, they still, that curved look to them, and it may be a bit stylized. There may be a little bit too much curve to these, but they look fantastic. And I would have to say, so if based on my experience, if you were going to order one of these CT Toys Wolverines, I would recommend the brown suit over the yellow and blue suit. And again, that's based on my experience. Your experience may be something completely different, because again, with knockoffs, you are rolling the dice, and you could get a really good one, you could get a really bad one, you could get something you're really not expecting. I've had all of that happen. You could have something that's really good quality. I have a lot of knockoff, well, I won't say a lot, but I have some knockoff Masterpiece Transformers, and I was never disappointed in any of those. The quality on them were really good. And, you know, this one, I would have to say it's above average what I get with knockoff figures. So there is that. It's a, you know, it's just one of those things that you have to make up your mind to do. Are you willing to gamble on this to get something that maybe is now out of print, or secondary market prices are too high? And do you want to roll the dice on a knockoff to get that piece because you really want it? So again, that's something that's up to you personally. And, you know, every once in a while I want to roll the dice just to see how the quality of something is. Or, you know, brown suit Wolverine, I love, this is my favorite Wolverine costume. And again, I think this one looks really good. Well, that does it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Only support from viewers like you make this programming possible. Each view does count, and I do appreciate each and every single view I receive. Thank you, and thank you so very much for supporting this channel through viewing. If you are interested in supporting my channel further, I am now offering memberships at various tiers. Click the join button on my YouTube page, or check this video's description for the link and see if any membership offers are right for you, but only if you are in a position to do so. Comment below, like, share, subscribe if you would like to see more content or just help the channel grow, or both. That's even better. And don't forget to ding that bell so that in the future you will be notified as my new content becomes available. That's a wrap, folks. I'll see you next time.